Next news. Breaking news from the White House.
Tonight, the White House Correspondents Dinner assassination attempt took a dramatic turn because FBI Director Kash Patel says investigators already have the answers. Not guesses, not theories, answers. The suspect, Cole Allen, allegedly crossed multiple states, checked into the Washington Hilton, and, according to federal officials, targeted members of the Trump administration. The Manifesto is now in the spotlight, and the motive being painted is ugly, ideological, and deadly serious. President Trump says he will not be deterred, but here's the question every American should be asking tonight. Who spent years building the permission structure that made this attack feel justified to a deranged mind? Now, this matters to every viewer because when political hatred gets normalized, it does not stay on cable panels or social media feeds. It moves into real life. It moves into families, public events, churches, schools, restaurants, campaign stops, and now even elite media gatherings in Washington. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche says the suspect appears to have targeted administration officials and traveled from Los Angeles to Chicago to D.C. by train before checking into a hotel on April 24th. Then came the reported manifesto language claiming he was no longer willing to let a so-called pedophile, rapist, and traitor stain his hands with crimes. That's not random wording. That sounds like someone marinating in years of media lies and hysterical demonization of President Donald Trump and everyone around him. Republicans have warned for years that calling Trump Hitler, calling his supporters fascists, and declaring every election the end of democracy would lead somewhere dark. Now America is staring directly at the result, and the left still wants to pretend that words have no consequences. And before we go further, let me take a quick moment to share something personal, because in times like this, your health and resilience matter as well. You see, for years, my wife battled chronic pain and anxiety from her diagnosis, endless doctor visits, treatments that didn't help. Watching her struggle every day broke my heart. And then Jonathan Otto introduced us to red light therapy, and it changed everything. Her pain vanished, her anxiety lifted, and now she's sleeping soundly with real energy and joy again. My own recovery and vitality are better than guys half my age. Now, this has been truly life-changing for us. Red light therapy is backed by NASA research, FDA cleared, and studies show rapid pain relief and better recovery. If you want to check it out, go to myredlight.com. Use NNN25 for 25% off individual items, or NNN30 for 30% off bundles. Now let's get back to the story, because the next piece makes it even more disturbing. What makes this bigger than one madman is that the warning signs were everywhere. Scott Jennings said conservatives are living with a knot in their stomach after repeated attacks and plots against Trump world figures, from President Trump to Steve Scalise to Brett Kavanaugh and more. And then you hear Democrat leaders get asked to cool the rhetoric and respond with denial, deflection, and cluelessness. See, that's the twist here. The same people who helped inflame the climate are now acting shocked that somebody acted on it. Let's go to the FBI Director Kash Patel. Says they have all the questions already answered.
What we're going to do is continue to look at the interviews that we've conducted, the dozens and dozens of interviews we've conducted over the weekend, and put that in one place to show you what he did, how he got there, when he got there, when he arrived, how he got down to the area in question, how he was able to get through security undetected. We have all those questions answered, and that's why I wanted to present with the Attorney General at the press conference later today, once the magistrate has certified or signed off on the criminal complaint.
And of course, that complaint has been filed. Patel says the FBI has the timeline, the security breakdown, lockdown. The public's about to see it. But while law enforcement works the facts, the left is still playing word games. Emma Hall is calling out Alexander Vindman. You remember him? Is comparing President Trump and Republicans to Nazis considered lowering the temperature? A. Vindman is sick in the head, she writes. And then she puts this post up. I resisted calling Trump and MAGA fascists, mainly because I've understood fascism and Nazism as almost incomprehensibly evil, but the reality is MAGA is today who the Nazi were before they seized power. There is no better historical comparison to MAGA than the Nazi of the early 1930s, and then showing an image of a Nazi rally at Madison Square Garden, and of course the Trump MAGA rally at Madison Square Garden that I was lucky enough to attend, and you guys sent me there. She was quote tweeting Alex himself, who said, "What happened last night at the WHCD should concern all of us. I'm relieved no one was injured and law enforcement took swift action. Healthy debate is the cornerstone of our democracy. Political violence must be condemned as anathema to our democracy. We must lower the temperature." Sure, as one who contributed to the temperature and the impeachments and everything, right? Steve Vindman wants to preach about lowering the temperature after years of smearing Trump and his voters. Now, Scott Jennings takes that double standard head on, says conservatives have every reason to be on edge. Listen to this.
Left is not the only people doing this, and the right does just as much online.
You can understand why we're on edge as conservatives, though. 3 times the president, Steve Scalise, Brett Kavanaugh, Charlie Kirk. Heck, there was even a plot against Russ Vought the other day, who's the head of the Office of Management and Budget. I mean, conservatives are, I think, rightfully on edge because this keeps happening over and over and over again, and people keep calling Donald Trump a Nazi, and they keep calling him a fascist, and they keep repeating lies about him that are not true, yet they keep getting repeated regarding Epstein and other things. I'm just telling you, as a conservative who lives in this every day, my friend was murdered last year. My president's had 3 assassination attempts. I have a knot in my stomach about it every day that I wake up.
Yeah, so do I. Every single day. He's laying it out plainly. It's not random. The left's rhetoric keeps feeding it. Next up, Hakeem Jeffries gets confronted over his own maximum warfare language, and suddenly it's all denial. Earlier this week, listen.
We are in an era of maximum warfare. Everywhere, all the time.
Those are the words of Hakeem Jeffries. Earlier this week, you said this is a time for maximum warfare against President Trump. Will you apologize and condemn this type of violent rhetoric? Of course not. But he says violence is never the answer.
Violence is never the answer, whether it's targeted at the right, the left, or the center. We have issues that we have to work out amongst each other. That's embedded in the First Amendment that was being celebrated last night. But what is also embedded in the First Amendment is the right to peacefully protest and to petition the government peacefully.
Oh, yes. Don't throw the Constitution in my face, buddy. We all know your rhetoric is contributing to this. He says the violence is never the answer, but that doesn't erase the kind of language Democrats keep pumping. Elon Musk says if they're willing to die to assassinate, imagine what they will do if they gain political power. Musk's point is simple. If someone's willing to die to kill, think about what happens if that mindset gains power. And then the case gets darker because the newly revealed manifesto shows exactly how the suspect justified targeting Trump officials. He wrote his manifesto saying he was targeting Trump officials. I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. Hello, everybody. That's what he posted. So I may have given a lot of people a surprise today. Let me start off by apologizing to everyone whose trust I abused. So apparently he had no problem abusing everyone's trust so he could end up pulling off an assassination attempt on President Trump. The manifesto reads like the product of pure media-fed hatred aimed straight at Trump and his people. President Trump responding immediately following the events in the press briefing room.
People across the globe, in fact, are watching you. You demonstrated courageous leadership, and thank God you're alive. All of us are alive today. What is the message that you want to give to the world that this should change? What corrective measures can we take from here on?
Well, all you can do, look, I don't care how many people you have, how good they are. They can be the greatest people. You have the greatest security in history. If you have a whack job who's got a brain, but it's a little bit distorted or a lot distorted, they can make trouble. I would say, Pete, right? You know, they can make trouble. Some of these people are of genius level IQ, and they're nuts. So it can be trouble. So you do absolutely the best. You get the best. We have the best people. Well, look, it was proven tonight. He started running from 50 yards, and he was fast. He was like a blur on tape. He was moving. It was very impressive the way they got him, because a lot of people would be looking and saying, you know, it's like a weird feeling, and they would let him get through, but they didn't let him get through. They drew those guns so fast, looked like They look like Matt Dillon. They look like somebody that knew what they were doing, and we really do. But it comes with the territory. And if you want to do a great job, I really believe that. And you take a look at what's happened to some of our greatest presidents, and it doesn't happen to people that don't do anything. And it's not going to deter me from winning the war in Iran. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I really don't think so, based on what we know. But we're going to continue to do a great job. That's all I can do.
Just keep this president in your prayers. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. You heard the president, the job comes with danger, not backing off, but as questions keep piling up, a new report points to suspicious online activity involving Iran in the suspect's name. Wall Street Apes posted this. Iran was searching for the new Donald Trump assassin's name, Cole Thomas Allen, this morning before the assassination attempt happened. Google has just scrubbed this data and is now no longer allowing results for Iran with the assassin's name. This is a cover-up, he writes. This is a search term. These are the results over time in Iran in the past day. And you could see April 24th, there was approximately maybe 65. And then on April 25th, maybe 40. And then on April 25th at 7:16 p.m., 100. Interest over time. So there were some people, apparently, maybe, in the know in Iran. It's unclear. But that's what the data shows. So you've got some claims that search data tied Iran to Cole Allen before the attack. And people are asking who knew? Who knew what and when? Meanwhile, Democrats still can't even admit their own role. Here's Jamie Raskin dodging the most basic question about their rhetoric.
And you have, and as many of your fellow Democrats, have used some heated rhetoric against the president. And do you think twice about that when something like this happens?
What rhetoric do you have in mind?
Just talking about some of the fact that he, is terrible for this country and so on and so forth. I understand that that's your Democratic right, but overall, do you
I have
a
no
responsibility?
personal problem with Donald Trump at all. I mean, I talk about the policies of this administration, the authoritarianism like we saw on display in Minneapolis, where 2 of our citizens were gunned down in the streets simply for exercising their First Amendment rights.
They were not
Good,
exercising
Alex
their First Amendment rights.
And others have. I'm talking about policies. I don't personalize it, and I certainly have never called the press the enemy of the people. I think the press are the people's best friend, and that's why it's written right there into the First Amendment. We need the press to be a vigilant watchdog against every level of government, federal, state, local, all of it.
You're not going to get an argument from me on that.
Spare me, rat skin. Here's a photo. It tells you everything you need to know. Cuts right through the spin. You can tell everything about a man by how he instinctively responds when it hits the fan. No rehearsal, no time to think. In this photo, from the moment shots rang out at the White House correspondent, Stephen Miller moves on top of his pregnant wife to shield her with his body. Hegseth stands over his wife, surveying the room for threats while leaning over to protect her. No hesitation, no panic, no running for the exits. They covered the people they love. Here's a moment when the shots rang out. You can see right there Stephen Miller and Hegseth. Right there. So the media smears are nonstop. The photo shows the instinct. Next, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche lays out what investigators found overnight. Listen.
Has law enforcement learned so far from the gunman? Have you been able to determine a motive?
Good morning. So we executed a number of search warrants last night. FBI worked through the night along with state and local law enforcement at both coasts in Los Angeles and here in D.C. We executed search warrants on devices, electronic devices that we found that we believe belong to the suspect. And we're still looking to try to understand a motive. From our preliminary investigation, it does appear the suspect was targeting members of the administration. I don't want to go beyond that because we don't have specifics yet about particular members of the administration, except that we do understand that that was his goal and his target. We know that he traveled from Los Angeles to Chicago and then Chicago to D.C. It appears he traveled by train during both those legs of his trip and checked into the Washington Hilton a couple days ago on the 24th. And then obviously attempted to breach the perimeter last night and was quickly subdued.
Traveling by train. Across the country, checked into the Hilton, hunting administration officials. Now, a former college student describing Cole Allen as just an average guy.
Seemed just like a completely average guy. I mean, I never would have expected anything like this out of a guy like this. Like, it's really just bizarre. Like, I can't believe it.
Just bizarre. No indication. That Cole was apparently his high school tutor. And that's the line we keep hearing. He seemed normal. Nobody saw it coming. Mahik Cook closes the circle by spelling out how years of calling Trump Hitler and his supporters fascists built the permission structure for this kind of violence. Listen.
Washington has created a permission structure. They didn't have to say, go shoot Trump. They did something more dangerous and far more acceptable in our polite society. They spent years telling Americans that Trump is Hitler, that democracy ends if he wins, that his supporters are fascists. That's normal political disagreement. Is not disagreement at all, but an emergency, a crisis, a call for resistance. And then they act shocked when unstable people absorb that message. And here's the part the media doesn't want to say out loud. If you tell people over and over again that the man is the next Hitler, that America becomes a dictatorship if he survives politically, that every institution must stop him, then you're creating a moral framework where someone can convince himself that he's not committing violence, that he's actually saving democracy.
That is the problem. So here's the truth the establishment does not want said plainly. They did not have to order an attack to help create the conditions for one. She just nailed it. Spend a decade telling unstable people that Trump is Hitler and that his team are fascists, that stopping them is a moral emergency, and eventually someone decides that violence is civic duty. Add Jeffries talking about maximum warfare, Raskin pretending he has no idea what rhetoric people mean, and figures like Vindman still comparing Trump and Republicans to Nazis, and the pattern's impossible to ignore. This is not just heated politics, it is radicalization by repetition. And when the bullets start flying, the people who fueled the lie machine suddenly want clean hands. So President Trump's response was exactly what strong leadership looks like. He said it comes with the territory. It will not deter him. That America must keep moving forward, and that's why the left fear him. He doesn't fold, he doesn't flinch, and the image of men in Trump's circle like Stephen Miller and Pete Hegseth instinctively shielding their wives, it says a lot about who these people really are when danger hits. Protectors, not the cartoon villains that the media sells every day. Let me ask you a simple yes or no question. Do you believe that Democrat rhetoric helped create the climate for this attack? Drop your answer in the comments and share this report everywhere. Subscribe if you haven't. And check out the Next News merch shelf below this video. And to beat the censorship machine, text raw feed to 844-840-4963 so you can get alerts straight to your phone that YouTube never sends. Stay strong, stay loud, and stand with President Trump.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this. Share this now.